All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sunday watch list. This week we have a lot of earnings reporting, right? So we have some big companies, Verizon on Monday before open. Tuesday is really going to be the big day because we have Spotify before market open, UPS before market open, GM, Coca-Cola, Comcast. But really after close is where the big names are going to report, right? We have Tesla, Alphabet, which is Google, Enphase, Visa, Capital One, right? Really, these first four are the big ones. And, sometimes before earnings, these contracts can get very expensive because of implied volatility. So you would be overpaying for a contract that's not really worth that price. And it's always a little bit risky trading and trying to predict what the earnings report is going to be. So me personally, I wait for after the earnings report and try to play the post earnings setup. So this week is going to provide a lot of post earnings setups. If if one of these names gets a big move up or a big move down, the very following day we can look at that name for continuation. Now Wednesday we have AT&T, we have Chipotle. Those are the two big ones. IBM as well. American Airlines Thursday, Hasbro, Southwest Airlines, a lot of the airlines. And then we have 3M on Friday before open. And those are going to be some of the big ones that I will be watching for this week. So now going into economic calendar. This week we don't have nothing major until Thursday. So Monday through Wednesday, smooth. We don't have to worry about too much. Home sales on Wednesday, at 10 a.m. the 7 a.m. report. Usually we do have a reaction. Thursday, we have GDP and initial jobless claims before the market opens. So that is a report that it's going to happen before the market opens. So the reaction will happen before, unless you swung something the day before, then you don't have to worry about it too much. And then PCE on Friday as well, before market open. So now that we got that out the way, let's get into some of these charts. I think we have amazing opportunities. Last Sunday watch list was amazing. Those QQ puts that I called out off the bearish engulfing, I was able to capitalize on $7,000 on that trade. So I hope a lot of you guys were able to capitalize on that as well. Going into this week, let's clear this chart on SPY and let's start on the daily time frame. What do I see here? I see that we are still selling off on the daily time frame, still getting some bearish candles with some volume, right? With some aggressive selling pressure. Breaking this down to a 4-hour chart, I could see that our nearest area of demand is going to be down here at this area down here. Notice how every time we come down here, buyers step in at the 542, 544 area. So definitely a big area. And watch, when I go to the weekly chart, oh, that's actually on QQ, so wrong one. But on the weekly chart, unless this is a 5 EMA. Okay, that's what it is. On the 9 EMA, my bad. On the 9 EMA, the 9 EMA on the weekly is literally exactly where that demand zone's at on the 4-hour chart, right? So that 4-hour chart here, and I go to the weekly chart, the 9 EMA is in confluence with that area. So it's a big area, right? But if you guys go to the weekly, what kind of candlestick pattern is this? It's a bearish engulfing with volume. So I will be looking for a reject. Like, let's look for the reject area. This area right here looks good for a reject. The 550, 551 zone, as you guys can see right here, has rejected here, rejected here, rejected here. So right now we're currently under it. As long as we hold under this and use it as a rejection level, this gives us room down to 546 and then the bottom of the zone here at 543. Now I can definitely expect the bounce at 543 because it's a big demand zone and the weekly 9 EMA is right there. If you start looking at the bigger picture, right, we have broken out of this uptrend. Look, low, higher low. We are no longer on an uptrend. We are currently trying to form a downtrend. We have a high, lower high, lower high. So I have this trend line right here as well that connects. And look how the trend line is in confluence with my supply zone area. So there's 550, 551. As long as we stay below that, I would be looking to short down to 546 and 543. So those are good areas that I am interested in. Of course, we have to be open-minded. So if we reclaim 550, 551, I can expect a push to 554 and really like this previous demand here. So if I go to the hourly, you'll see it a little bit clearer. This demand zone here can be our next target if we break above 550, 551. So just some, scenarios to the upside if that does happen, but I'm leaning towards the 543. Going back to the 4 hour on SPY, this looks like it can be a head and shoulders as well. So look, we have a left shoulder. It's almost like a double left shoulder, the head. And if we bounce here at 543 and pop back up to here, could be like in head and shoulders in that area. Now, the only thing that can change a lot of these things is the earnings, because I believe the following week after this week, we have even bigger earnings with Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, AMD, a lot of the big tech names. That's going to be huge. So I think that's going to be the first week of August. So we'll see what we get there. Going into QQ, very, very similar chart. Clear all this up for you guys. Start on the higher time frames like the daily, even the weekly, right? This is a big evening star. If you guys don't know what an evening star looks like this. Looks like this, right? And now if we go back to here, and it's a bearish chart pattern, notice how we get a move down from there. Going back into the charts, this is an evening star. Last level of support is right here. So let's go back to the daily, 4 hour, and just break this down, right? We are at our last level of support that is holding us up here on Qs before we go lower. So like this demand zone down here looks like it's hanging on. It's like barely trying to hang on to this. So if I go to the daily chart, below that zone, you guys see this little gap fill here? Down to 468. That is where I can see QQ heading down towards if we don't hold that demand zone. So from 473 down to 468 is a great move. Now going to the 4 hour chart again, just in case, right? We do get them up, we do hold this zone and we do get a push higher. I can see we're on a short-term downtrend here as of right now. We have a high, lower high. This trend line can be valid for a reject if it's in confluence with something else, which it is. Look, this is a supply zone from here. Notice how price rejects here. Price rejects back here. And if I drag this way, it's really kind of like this area, right? You guys can see that when we come into here, seller step in here, kind of get a break above it, but hold back below that area. Seller step in here. When we break above it, we hold as demand, get a move higher. Get back below it, we use it as a reject on Thursday. So this is going to be a big rejection level for me. If we do come and approach that area, very, very interested in a reject from 485 to 487. And that also will be very similar to SPY, right? Because SPY had that left shoulder, had a head. And if we do hold here and form that right shoulder, it's going to be a beautiful entry for potential swings back down to 468. We have to see how the market reacts, but definitely something I'm very interested in. That's going to be my analysis on SPY and Qs. If shit gets really weak, back down to here. That's if we get really weak though, right? It's very possible. So we shall see. We shall see. But these first levels will be my first targets. Now, going into some individual tickers, I'm going to cover my favorite one first. And I know a lot of people have not covered this one because I have not seen anybody post this one. So this is my own setup that I am watching. And I know a lot of people don't have this on watch. Starting the reasoning why. Reasoning why. Let's chart this out, right? So we have a trend line from high, lower high, lower high. Notice how that upper trend line we keep rejecting. But same thing here. Look, we have a low, higher low, higher low. So we finally broke the lower trend line on this name. We finally broke out of this lower trend line on this name. And we've been rejecting the psychological level of 1,000 here. So you guys can see like this 1,000 to like 975 area. We've been rejecting that area. We have been failing to get above that. Almost looks like a head and shoulders. If I go to a weekly time frame, we have a bearish engulfing on the weekly time frame. And if I go to the monthly time frame, this is where it gets really interesting. We have 3 back-to-back shooting star candles on the monthly. So that is major. That's the higher the time frame, the bigger the move you get. If this breaks down, right? If this gets really weak, this has room down to 700. Literally. And it's at 796 right now. So it's about a $96 move. It literally could have room lower, but I'm targeting 700 first based off of, right, that monthly time frame. And not only that, right, some of the names are looking weak. The only thing that's concerning on this name is that it is going to have earnings on August 6th. So Tuesday, August 6th, this name does have earnings. So that's just one thing to pay attention to. How would I trade this name? I definitely buy time on it. Two ways to trade this. If you can get an entry anywhere up this trend line, on top of this trend line for rejection, that'd be amazing. Because you could lower your risk. In this scenario, we also have a shooting star on the daily, so this is a break and retest as of right now. Now we do have a key level of demand nearby. So if you want, this is a key level of demand here, the 750. A break and retest below 750, you can catch a $50 move down into 700. And I think that looks amazing. So this is one of my favorite top watch setups. SPY, QQ, SMCI, probably the only thing I'm very, very interested this week, but let's go over some more. I do like NVIDIA as well. So a lot of the tech names are getting weak. With NVIDIA, we're kind of like double topping right now, right? We went to all-time highs here, rejected aggressively, tried pushing back to all-time highs, didn't get there, made a lower high. And here we have our neckline here at the 115 to 116 area. This here is a big level of support. If we flush this on NVIDIA, it's going to sell off a lot of the other tech names such as SMCI. It could, right? AMD as well. QQQ. QQ is a big, QQ holds a lot of NVIDIA as well as SPY. So just using these big names as confluence, right? Since NVIDIA is a big holding in the S&P and QQ, this is confluence. So a break and retest below 115 gives us room down to really like 108. I'd say 110 to 108. That's where NVIDIA has room down to. Weekly chart, very aggressive bearish candle as well, breaking below the 9 EMA. And really could have room to 108, 100 almost. Yeah, so it's a big move down. If things get really weak, this gap fill down here can be valid. So a lot of these names are very valid. You trade them with time. And reject level on Qs, I will say like this 123 area to 125. So anywhere from here to there, I will be looking for a reject because look how we reject here and here. That's my levels for NVIDIA. If it gets bullish, probably looking for it above 125, but that's what I'll be watching. And let's see what else. What else? The other names I have earnings this week is kind of like probably stay away from them personally. Microsoft. Microsoft actually looks the only one that may have a little bit more bullish price action than the others, as it's kind of extended, kind of sold off in a lot of the other names, and it's trying to hold a demand zone down here. So I'll keep an eye on this one, but a little bit less than the others. AMD just broke a key level of demand here at the 153, 154 area. So I'll be using that for a reject level to push down to 148 and lows down here at 141. This is a very aggressive bearish candle on AMD. Now, would I want to chase this all the way down here? Probably not. So I'd wait for a pullback before I go short. But it is a bearish candle, and it is showing signs of weakness. So AMD showing weakness, NVIDIA showing weakness, SMCI showing weakness. Big tech names are showing weakness. What can I expect in the market? Best thing to do is buy time on your contracts. That way you're not too early on the move, and you don't get stuck in zero DTEs, and you have time to let some of these bearish plays play out if they do. But of course, always be open-minded if we move in a different direction. So I'm gonna keep it short and simple this week. Those are the names I'm watching. I don't need to watch anything else, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy the Sunday watches, and I hope you guys have an amazing week. And thank you guys for watching as always. Make sure to join the broadcast channel on Instagram. I always update it free. So thank you guys. You guys have a good week.